This is kind of a hard video to make because while I wanted to really like Ori and the Blind Forest, it just really wasn't what I expected at all. It was released earlier last year, and it was praised so much for its artistic, stylized kind of graphics, and actually the gameplay being very well. And I can't agree with any of the reviews that I've read or watched for the game at all. So let's just start off with story. Now, I don't want to go too much into the story, but it's your cliche kind of story where the land gets destroyed and you have to go across it and restore all of the elements of it. And while it's a platformer, so who really gives a fuck about the story, I still think that kind of detracts from the game as a whole because, you know, I kind of want to be engaged into the game. I kind of want to like the characters. There's like maybe about 3 characters throughout the entire game that you don't really sort of build a connection with at all. And this is kind of stock with a lot of games, but I think that's something that has been changed about the way that games are now, is that the story can kind of change depending on how you play the game. With this, it's very on rails and sort of just, you know, if you're going to replay it again, you're playing it for the gameplay, not the story, which it's a platformer, so hey. So to recap for the story, it's a very generic and cliche kind of story, and it's an on-rails experience, so don't expect it to change throughout any replays. So to move on, we're going to go on to the gameplay. Now this is where something you should take my opinion with a grain of salt, because I'm absolutely garbage at platformers. I'm actually garbage at video games in general, but definitely platformers. And this isn't kind of like Mario. This is like more of for like hardcore platformers who like to play at high difficulty and whatnot. And I think a lot of what kind of made me not enjoy the gameplay so much as everyone else is because I played with a keyboard. I think maybe platformers are kind of done best with controllers, so definitely keep that in mind if you're deciding to pick this game up. You should get a gamepad if you're going to play it on the PC. Another issue I had with the game, I guess just to say as a whole, I will say that the game, it controls well, you know. It's not the worst in the world. But so with what I said earlier, you should probably pick up a gamepad. And another issue I had with the game is like incrementally as you go along throughout the game, you get these different power-ups. You know, you start off just absolutely nothing, and you can see kind of throughout this the video. This is in the beginning of the game. I'm sorry I didn't get anything towards the end or in the middle of it. And there's gonna be a little bit of the end. You'll see kind of me playing horribly and some of the powers. But as you're getting these powers, like you'll use them after you get them for like the next like 10 minutes, and then after that you kind of just don't use them anymore. So these powers aren't equally utilized, as like there's like probably 3 main ones. So to recap about the controls, this is definitely better played with a controller than with a keyboard, so keep that in mind if you're picking up for the PC. And as you incrementally get powers, you'll realize that you don't utilize them as much as some of the other ones. But overall, it's fine for a platformer. I had fun at certain points, but it wasn't like amazing. So to move on with the graphics, and the graphics is something that I had like my major complaint about, which is that you're watching this video, let's say for the first time, and you're looking at the game, you're like, wow, this is beautiful. Like, how could you have an issue with this? And that what you're watching is the game. That's it. Like after seeing the first like couple minutes of the game, that's it. It all ends up just being like this kind of blue purple kind of blend of just boring bland level design. A lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, but throughout the game, okay, it kind of changed into like a fire level or an ice level, but it was the actual design of the game itself, or the levels I should say, that I just felt as if they had a great idea and then they just didn't know where to go with it. So, and it kind of detracts from it more so than if it was just like just a everyday normal looking kind of game. So it ends up, while it ends up like they put so much work into the graphics, it kind of ends up just being on the same level as a kind of bland looking game that had better level design. So to recap my thoughts on the graphics, while sure it is pretty, while you're playing it, it just feels sort of very uninspired by, like, with bad game design. I feel as if also it kind of would have been better, just better level design, and it just being an ugly game And I guess you can say it's not ugly. That's, I guess, a positive. So to move on to the soundtrack kind of suffers from the same thing that the graphics did. The title screen and the intro score is beautiful, and then kind of as the game goes along, there's just this like ragtag group of uninspired tracks that just sort of you just tune out after a little bit. I can definitely tell you I can't remember a single other song other than the like theme overall for the title. And again, with a platformer, that's kind of not like the biggest deal, but I like to be sort of like into the whole. I feel as if like the graphics and the sound kind of put me into this game, and the game was so praised so much for these aspects that it was just kind of like a major letdown. So to recap on the sound is that it's just this boring, uninspired, kind of forgettable score that was just a major letdown. So let me know what you guys think. I know that not everyone's going to disagree with me, but let me know if you agree, disagree. If you decided to pick it up through this, just let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.